It's another beautiful day on the Love and Marriage Talk, and here Nate and I are back after a wonderful week. All the mothers out there, we hope you had a great Mother's Day, and thank you, husbands. Thank you, all the sweethearts and spouse who are making our motherhood a peaceful one, who are making us feel like a woman, like women all the time. We appreciate you because we cannot do it without you. Thank you so much for making our day last weekend, and we can't wait for Father's Day to treat you the same. Maybe we would overtake you, whatever you did for us on Mother's Day. We'll see. So we're excited to be once again back here to chit chat and keep having these love, marriage, relationship conversation. Nate, I guess they're waiting to hear from you.
All right. Happy Mother's Day. Happy belated Mother's Day to all mothers out there. You know, you guys are what it takes to.
We ladies.
You ladies. You ladies. We applaud you. We applaud you, mothers. With that being said, our viewers, once again, we present a newly revised, thinkable, intriguing, evocative content. So be ready. We're gonna knock your socks off. It's gonna be good, great. Are you ready, Esther?
So, yes, being ready. On the Love and Marriage Talk, we've talked about all the great stuff. We've discussed about, all the, let's say, not so perfect situations, but good, positive topics and stuff like that. Today, we just wanted to zoom in into certain areas in relationship when things takes a different turn. A different turn? We'll be right back. We're going to take a very short break. Stay tuned in your chairs. We'll see ya.
Okay.
So we are right back, and today what we are thinking about talking about is, what do we do, or what do you do? Hopefully it doesn't happen, but when it happens, we pray that's not, but just to prepare our minds and kind of think about it. If it hasn't happened to you, we are very excited that it hasn't happened. And we pray it doesn't happen. But those who are going through it, what do you do when you find out that your spouse is cheating?
You know, not all marriages are perfect, right? So, how do you do about it? We have done our best in the past to present our content to enhance and enrich the marriage, all those good characters and areas that marriage presents. But this is one of the biggest, issues some marriages go through. And in a way, they suffer in silence because these are some of the issues couples may not be able to share, right?
Yes.
to their peers, to their families, to their loved ones outside marriage. Um, but we just wanted to share some light on it and see how best we can tackle the issue. And hopefully it enriches somebody's relationship.
Help somebody
You know,
out there.
and they can move forward on the processes. Okay, so let's talk about it. First, going through marriages, and a typical scenario is you've been married for a year, you've been married for 5 years, 10 years, whatever, and you find out your spouse, your significant other, either the husband or the wife, it doesn't matter. What matters is somebody is cheating.
I think it is a very difficult situation
Yes, indeed, it
when
is.
when something like that happens.
Yes.
And like Nate is saying, you married for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5, 20, 10, 15. You've been with this person for a very long time. Or you dating this person for a long time.
Right.
You might not be married, you were still in a relationship with this person.
Right.
And as much time as you have devoted, as much as sacrifice that you've given to your relationship, to your marriage, you find out that that loved person, that loved one, that significant other is cheating. How do you handle it? How do you deal with it? The first thing that Nate comes to my mind is there should be a remorse aspect of this, meaning the person has to show some sign of remorse of what they have done. Because if you are in a relationship with someone, if you love someone, and unfortunately this happens, I believe as a person, one of the ways that can help you to resolve this is the person who did it showing you that sign of remorse. What can that be? Apologizing,
Right.
letting you know that I'm sorry. I know it happened, but I'm sorry. And you, on the other hand, feeling that genuine remorse from the person. Nate, what do you think? You think it's a good number one step in everything if somebody does something. And we can look at it from the point of view, even when somebody does something to you, just anything, right? The first thing that you would feel to forgive or be quick to forgive is when that person who committed the act lets you know they're sorry.
Absolutely. It's a good number one step if you have verified it's not rumors, right?
Oh yeah, and this is when we're talking about
Yes.
it's a fact. It's happened.
It's
happened.
You verified
Mm-hmm.
that you have evidence that it's actually happening. Unfaithful partner to come out and plead for forgiveness, there have to be a dialogue.
Okay.
So after the verification of the incident, I believe there need to be a dialogue.
Come to think about that, we all know that as human, when things happen, 9 out of 10, if it is something serious like cheating,
Mm-hmm.
it's very hard for the person who actually cheated to be in a dialogue. They're not even thinking about that. The first thing they're thinking about is, oh my goodness, he found out. Oh my goodness, she found out. I'm sorry. And start apologizing before you even start a dialogue. They start apologizing. You get what I'm saying? Like the natural instinct in them kind of comes out, especially when they were not expecting you to find out.
True.
So then the first thing that comes out of their mind is saying sorry.
Okay.
Because if I'm playing it out, God forbid, Nate, I can't believe you did this to me. Are you kidding me? What am I seeing? Did you actually do this? And at that time, Nate is like, what are you talking about? And I go on to say, okay, I saw the text messages. What's her name again? Did you actually sleep with her?
But the question will be, quickly moving on to remorse. Would that be genuine? Or it's you being remorseful because you got caught?
No, absolutely. People, and that brings me to my second point. The remorse is, I believe the remorse is something that genuinely is the first thing the one who committed the act is thought about. This is not a place for argument because they know you found out.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
This is when you have found out. This is not when you have heard. You found out. So when you find out something, you actually have a proof. You actually have a fact to support what you found.
Okay.
So when somebody is found out, when your significant other has found out that you were cheating, the first thing that is coming in your mind is you are apologizing. Honey, can we talk about this? I'm sorry. Can we talk about this? And I guess that's where that dialogue starts to happen. The talk begins right there because the other person now have the ear to listen to you, to explain yourself. Not that to justify what you did, but now you have the attention because you have quickly apologized. That doesn't mean anything has happened. Anything is talked about. Nothing is talked about.
Okay.
That's just the first stage because they know you found out. And so if you found out, I'm sorry, can we talk about it? Naturally, I think that's how it goes when anybody does something that is wrong.
Okay.
To talk about cheating.
So let's jump into it. Let's talk about it. So the unfaithful party has been approached by the faithful partner.
I like the way you put it.
And the unfaithful partner has regret.
Showed remorse.
Showed remorse of the action. And there's a dialogue. And as we being human, the question is why, right?
There you go.
The next phase is why.
You just took what I was gonna say. The next phase is
why.
The why behind why they did what they did.
Why?
Why?
And the why is very important. You know, I believe the why can either amend the marriage or break the marriage.
Or the relationship.
All the relationship.
Yes.
You know, so let's talk about the why. There is two ways this whole process can go. I mean, let's be optimistic and talk about the why that leads in amending the relationship. So go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
The unfaithful party in this case is the wife.
Oh, assuming.
Assuming. The
Oh,
unfaithful,
really?
Yes. Assuming the unfaithful party is the wife.
It's okay.
And
it's all right. We the women, we're gonna be quiet.
And
we're gonna be quiet and listen to you.
And let me paint out the scenario.
Okay.
So that we can understand why. The unfaithful party is the wife. The faithful partner is the husband.
How nice
how
it
convenient,
is. How convenient it is.
I know. Okay. I know how convenient it is.
That's fine.
So this husband is very, hardworking. He goes out on business trips, and most of the time he spends 2 weeks at a time. Within a month, he spends 2 weeks with the wife. They have no kids.
With a girlfriend. With a wife.
With the wife. They have no kids. So just see how this relationship or this marriage is set, right?
Mm-hmm.
So vulnerability comes in because you've already created that room for hoping and believing your wife or your girlfriend is fine in your absence. Hoping that you being away for 2 weeks, there will be no temptation, there will be absolutely nothing that will, prompt them to commit such devious acts. So now the unfaithful partner, which is the wife, is pleading her case. You were on vacation, we've been married for, so and so, you travel quite often.
We've been together for such and such time.
We've been together for such and such time.
Okay.
And I just became so vulnerable when you were gone. I became so lonely when you were gone. And I fall into such devious acts. I am truly sorry. I sincerely apologize. The affair is over. I renounce the affair. I actually am telling you who I am having this affair with. Now you have a name. The faithful partner has what? A name associated to the affair. Right? So it's not your fault. The picture that has been painted is it's now your fault.
Okay, so let me understand. The picture that you just painted, that the wife is the one who cheated.
Right.
And according to the why behind it, it is because the spouse
travels a lot for business trips
and
spend 2 weeks at a time.
This time around, unfortunately, she fell in the temptation.
Right.
And it is the husband's fault?
I mean, the husband contributed for that vulnerability.
Okay, so let's look at it the other way.
Okay.
In this case,
in this scenario,
we're looking at it working again.
Okay.
A positive, because the husband, one way or the other, accepts the fact that he contributed to the wife.
To the affair.
Contributed to the wife having an affair.
Okay.
I wish it's that easy. Okay. So, let's look at the other way around when it is not going to be, right?
Okay. What do you mean?
Not saying it's not going to be, but it's going to be a very difficult one, right?
Okay.
Okay, so now I'll pick on the guy since you picked on the women.
Okay.
Right? If it is the guy who's cheated, and the woman is the one who's found out that the husband is cheating.
The woman is the faithful partner, and the guy is the unfaithful
In this
partner.
case, there is no traveling.
There's no traveling.
In this case, we are all around.
Okay.
You go to work, come home, I go to work and come home.
Okay.
I realize that your happy hours are not just happy hours. Actually, something else is going on.
Okay.
The why behind this is because you were in either a wrong crowd
Okay.
or just made up your mind to do it.
Peer pressure.
At this age, peer pressure will. That is very interesting. What I am expecting is when you find the why behind it, it should be something like you said, a teaching moment
Okay.
that each other learned their lesson. It becomes a moment where each other realize the part that they played
Okay.
for whatever to happen happened, right?
Okay.
It could be a man or a woman abusing each other. When you want to find out the why behind why your partner cheated, when they have shared their remorse and, giving room for conversation or have a dialogue, I think it should be an aspect of that situation of getting that remedy that it will not happen again because you now know the why behind. So like the scenario you gave, if it's a traveling husband, if you know that your wife is not able to handle it anymore, I'm not saying find a different job, but
Take her along with you.
there you go. Can you plan to take her along with you?
Right.
That might be one of the reasons how you can solve this, right?
Right.
You love this person so very much. It's never happened before. This is the first time it's happened. Are we saying the why behind this gives the reason why they should do what they did? No, that's not what we are saying. The act that happened was not supposed to happen, period. But it's happened and you found out. And they're telling you that, honey, I did this because of ABCD. At the moment, yes, you're going to be very upset, but you want to think about it. If I contributed to why he cheated, if I contributed to why she cheated, is it something I'm taking back home in my mind? When I say home, is it something that I'm taking back to work on so that this does not happen again? Or am I gonna go ahead and point that one finger at her and accuse her for what she has done or accuse him for what he has done? In certain situations, it's a habitual cheater. Let's say that, right? In that situation, I will say 9 out of 10 you know about it.
You knew about it before you got committed into that relationship. So it's not time for you to say, hey, I'm leaving.
Or it might be time for you to say, I'm leaving, but the question is, after you've stayed all these years, after you've done all this, I mean, it's hard. I think this is one of the hardest part of the situations that happen in marriages. Anything else can happen.
The hardest part is when you are dealing with that habitual cheater. Or even
if it is once, honey.
Even if it's once that you fall in love with. I think for reconciliation to happen, there have to be some type of healing process.
There you go.
And that is where we may encourage that, a counselor comes into the scene.
Yes, and I think that was the next step we were going to talk about on how you handle a spouse whom you found cheating, right? So after they've shown their remorse, you've had a dialogue, you've known the why behind it, as to whether it's your fault, it's their fault, it's both of your faults. It's a mistake, whatever it is. At least you found the reason why the partner did what they're doing.
Right.
The next thing we think can help to handle that situation is to have a counseling. As much as you think you can handle this, having a spouse who cheats or who has cheated is very heavy. It's going to be very heavy on the other spouse. It's going to be very heavy on the relationship.
Right.
It's going to be very heavy on the marriage. And so we think that in as much as you have talked among yourself, have somebody to counsel, professional counselor. And that's what we're talking about, because Nate mentioned something at the beginning of we introducing the topic. What Nate said was a lot of relationships or a lot of marriages are going through something like this. But they are quiet about it because it is not something that you are telling everybody. It is heavy. It's not something that you meet everybody and you are able to talk about.
Right.
And so, if you cannot tell everybody about it, you need to tell somebody who can be that counselor, somebody who can talk to both of you, somebody who is neutral, somebody who doesn't have any share in your relationship, does not stand for you or stand for your spouse, right? Very, very important, because Nate, I think that is where people can be honest and be open and really talk about it. What do you think?
I agree with you, because there's always a root cause to some of these issues, right? That has been a lifestyle, especially the unfaithful spouse. That was a lifestyle of theirs before they got married.
It could have been,
Could
yes.
have been, you know. And if that's the case, there is certain systematic issues in their lives that has to be dealt with. That doesn't mean you, the spouse, are not enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, there is a systematic issue going on, you know, within the social character of this unfaithful spouse.
An underlying issue.
And it needs to be dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
Until that issue is dealt with, guess what? They will continue to fall into the same path of temptation.
So, honey, the question here is, let's stay a little bit around here. When it comes to the counseling,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a lot of people who like counseling as well.
Yes.
So, something like this, as detrimental as it can be on the marriage
Right.
and the relationship,
Right?
if somebody does not want to seek for counseling, do you think it is advisable to talk to family about it?
It depends. It depends what kind of family, relatives, this issue is going to be presented to. So, life has allowed me to understand in any situation that the couples feel the need, or the partners feel the need for a mediator. The mediator can only be a person that has shared equity in that relationship. So what is shared equity? Shared equity is somebody who is dedicated for the growth and prosperity of that relationship. You know,
Who cares?
Who cares? Who cares?
Who wants that
who
relationship
wants
to work?
Who wants for the relationship to thrive and survive and prosper? You know, until you identify that person, you do not have a mediator. Even with counseling sessions only works when both partners agree that this person is worthy of their trust, worthy of presenting effective processes to help, their marriage survive,
Or relationship
survive.
Mm-hmm.
So you need that third person, and that third person has to be agreed by both parties. Both the husband and the wife, both the girlfriend and the boyfriend. Ultimately, that relationship is only going to be amended if both partners are willing, right? Willing to let bygones be bygones, willing to allow forgiveness to take place, willing to turn away from any devious actions that has brought the marriage to
The stage that
turmoil. So it's very important, but ultimately identifying that third person, that bystander that has equitable share in that relationship is very important. And believe me, you the parties may already know who that bystander is, because this bystander is constantly engaged, involved in the affairs of the marriage. They may not be living with them, but they are always there. When they call to talk to both of them. When they call, both parties are engaged in having conversations.
So basically, both parties should have relationship with this person that they can trust to talk about this issue.
Yes.
So you know that this issue is sensitive, right?
Extremely sensitive.
Very sensitive. And our brothers and sisters out there who unfortunately might be going through something like that, it can be a very heavy load on their shoulders.
Right.
It might not be something that they were anticipating and it happened.
Right.
Not only when you're anticipating and it happens, you were already looking forward for it, right?
That's their nature.
Yes, but for those who did not know when it's come as a shock to them.
Right.
Do you think it will be a good idea not to bottle it within them and to find somebody that they absolutely trust? And at this time, it might not be somebody who is having a relationship with both of them. It might be just one person that they really trust to talk to, just to let things out of the shock. Do you think it would be advisable that they find out that their spouse is cheating, and out of the shock, the only person they thought about is that best friend. The only person that they thought about is that brother or that sister. And they pick up the phone or they ask to meet them to share. Do you think it is a good idea to do something like that?
I'm so glad you asked this question, Esther. And I think this is where a lot of marriages fail, right? This is the step that ends up causing the relationship not to work. Ask me why. I'm glad you did. Why, Nate? Because a counselor is a mutual party that once they receive the news, they are working out ways to help the marriage grow, to help the marriage amend. So it's essential, right? This phase, finding a coping mechanism, talking to somebody to help you cope with your issue, because it's like you mentioned, it's heavy. You have to trade very carefully. I think this is where most most relationships fail, because yeah, I have this friend and I'm just gonna, talk to them and, hopefully, they can help me. Help you do what? What contribution is this friend? My question is, what contribution is this friend going to have on that relationship?
And I'm glad you mentioned that you have to tread cautiously. I think that is the wisdom right there. So basically, you're not saying that they cannot talk to this trusted friend, but you are saying that in as much as you trust this person, you need to tread cautiously, because this is not an easy situation.
Right.
It is a very sensitive situation. So whoever you are talking to has to be the person, has to be the one that will not, excuse me to say, speak of what is happening between you and your spouse, or speak of what has happened between you and your boyfriend or girlfriend to any other person because you trusted them. Am I getting you clear?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because the counselor is doing a job that the whole intention is to amend the relationship.
Okay.
If you seek a third person that in a way will help you cope with the issue, this person also has to have the same intention. I mean, they're gonna encourage you to stay put, encourage you to learn to forgive, encourage you
to talk about it,
to move on from the hurt, encourage you to see the best quality in your spouse or your partner,
to talk about it, to discuss it with your partner,
and
find that
if the conversation does not go in that line of path, then guess what? The advice you seeking out goes in a whole different direction.
But honey, what would you say about, I mean, let's go back to it. Like we were talking about the remorse part, right? Is it every spouse? And I don't think it is. I mean, I already have the answer, but I think that spouses who cheat can make things easier when they do accept. Because, for example, for the person who had the shock,
right,
that they know, and all of a sudden, boom, it's happened, right? It will be a good comfort for them if that spouse is being able to be bluntly open to them and say, hey, I did it. I am sorry. I apologize. It's not going to happen again. To give them that comfort, number one. So that it helps them not to be moving around to talk to other people to find that comfort. I don't know. Do I make sense?
You make sense, but I believe if it gets to that level of counseling, right? If the couple seek out for a counseling session, it gets to that level. The issue gets to be escalated to that level. I believe there is room for amends. I truly believe that. I believe that for it to get to that level, somebody has accepted they messed up. Somebody has accepted that they were wrong. Somebody has, committed that, hey, I'm wrong and I'm willing to fight for this marriage. It never gets to the level of counseling if that acceptance hasn't been established.
So can we say that it's not every instance that counseling comes in? Some instances, the couples solve it themselves, right?
Depending on
the level. Hey, cheating is cheating. So
I mean,
how is it?
Yes, depending on the level, because
the level of the relationship,
the level of the relationship plus the act itself, because the act could have been act of vulnerability, right? I was vulnerable. I went out with this person. There was no intimacy, right? There was no sexual intimacy. It was just you were caught. You were caught in a place where you shouldn't have been with this person.
No, and we're talking about when the sexual act has happened, when the cheating has gone on. So this is not somebody taking you out to buy you a drink and somebody seeing you, laying in somebody's arms and saying, "Hey, is that Nate's wife? Are you kidding me?" And find out, or somebody takes a picture and send it to you and say, "Are you kidding me? What is Esther doing there?" This is not what we're talking about. We're talking about when the act has actually happened, right? So somebody is sitting out there and say, "Hey, I don't have money for counseling. I'm really hurt. I wasn't expecting this." How do we?
That's a good question.
Yes. How does this person move on when they don't have money for counseling? When the person who committed the act is not even accepting that they are sorry, or living up to it and being open. That should be a very tough situation.
It is a tough situation, and there are different forms of counseling, right? There is the counseling where both parties, probably, I think the cheapest form of counseling is, if you're a believer, your church may provide.
Also, the pastor.
The church may provide such marriage counseling.
Okay.
But I support that tremendously. But that only works when both couples are believers.
Okay.
So when both couples actually believe in the principle of what the pastor is going to present. Because if one person believes in those principles the pastor is going to present, right, then you still find yourself in a limbo status where the other one, the unfaithful partner, may not get the buy-in of what the pastor.
So to be a little bit controversial, honey, and that's what I'm still sitting on there.
Right.
Do you believe, or do you think that the first step that might not even need a counseling is the one who cheated being able to have remorse and apologizing?
That's the first step.
Do you think that is needed, and that is an absolutely needed step?
That is an absolutely needed step.
I think so too.
I believe the unfaithful partner needs to be able to come to terms with the actions and apologize and show a great deal of remorse.
Absolutely.
But also, for any partner to go to that extent and show that unfaithfulness, there has to be something. Unfaithfulness is usually an exit plan, right?
Some people don't have to. Some people, it's not an exit for them, honey.
There you go.
Some people, it's just
there you go.
The moment the act happened, it's happened, and move on with your life,
there
right?
You go.
Like nothing happened until they are caught, right?
There you go.
So the why behind doesn't make it again. It doesn't make it okay to commit the act. But what we are saying is, as people, unfortunately, get into situation like this, when their spouses, when their significant other, when their sweethearts, when the one they love so much cheat on them, how can they cope with it? And like we said over and over, we think it is very important for the person who committed the act to be remorseful, to apologize,
right,
ask for forgiveness, and that would help that partner to be open to say, okay,
yes,
let's move on with this.
Yes.
you've apologized, you were sorry. I know the why behind.
Right.
I would try and help so that it doesn't happen again.
Right.
Right? But if the apology is not there, the remorse is not there, it's going to be very hard for the one who is hurting to know or feel like we have a way going forward.
True.
It's going to be very difficult.
True. And if that is identified from the onset, then unfortunately to say, both parties have to part their ways, because you cannot overlook that.
No.
You cannot overlook that and say, okay, there was no remorse, there was no
you didn't show remorse, you didn't apologize.
Any ways that action is over with, any ways that affair is terminated. If there is no remorse, then I believe that marriage is probably,
it's gonna be on rocks.
And it's on its way to be dissolved. And that's the sad truth. That is absolutely the sad truth. I think for the marriage to survive beyond the affair, right?
Or the relationship to survive. Mm-hmm.
Beyond the affair, I believe some of these actions we've pointed out needs to take place.
And I think there should be some commitment. There should be some recommitment done, right?
Yes.
Where, okay, you said you were sorry. You apologized for it. You told me why it happened. I given that room for us to move on and let's try this again. But you need to give me something to hold on to. You need to let me know that this is not going to happen again. You need to be able to give me something to trust.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, something just came to mind, honey. What would you think? How is this other person who is hurt going to behave going forward? Do you think they're going to be on the urge? Do you think they are going to be on the lookout? Do you think they are going to be...
It's going to be crazy. And the reason why it's going to be crazy is craziness might be even
the least
word to use in this
scenario.
Mm-hmm. I truly believe that when trust is broken,
you need to rebuild it.
I'm not saying it's impossible to repair trust,
mm-hmm.
but trust is one of those characters that it's not easily rebuilt overnight. Trust is a character that is developed over time.
You need to earn it.
Trust is a character that is developed over time. It's not something you go to the market and you purchase. It's not something that you encounter
mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden you found. It's a process. It's a character that takes time to be found.
Yeah, to build.
Because when you're in relationship, you totally don't trust the person you are in relationship with initially. There is no trust that has been established.
You build a trust.
You are in a relationship because of love, right?
And some level of trust. And trust has to be built upon.
Mm-hmm. And once that trust is built, the amount of time it took
to build that trust, when broken,
it's even gonna take much longer. So you have to be ready for that.
So that being said, what I'm getting from you, Han, is with that being said, when that trust is broken, you have to take what you get after that.
You have to take what you get after that.
So if your wife, your husband, your girlfriend, your boyfriend was very relaxed before the act happened, was very open before the act happened, was very vulnerable before the act happened.
You may not have that.
You might not have that again.
You might not have that.
they might be sitting on the edge. They might be watching their shoulders, over their shoulders.
Right.
They might be thinking what they shouldn't be thinking, and all because you broke that trust.
Yes.
And so when it happens like that, I don't think the other person has to be upset. It's not a time for you to be upset. It's not a time for you to say, really? So you haven't forgotten about it?
And that is, you see, I'm glad you brought this up, because that is why you need to seek a professional counseling. Because these areas of issues after the amendment has taken place will be pointed out by the counselor. The counselor will sit both parties down and say, hey, this is what has been done, and
this is what you should be expecting
moving forward.
It will take time.
It will take time. It's not going to be weeks. It's not going to be months.
It could take years.
And you have to be ready. You know, the unfaithful party has to be ready for what all the areas the marriage is going to go through.
Yes, the relationship is going to go through.
Because there is going to be a resentment going on. You know, the faithful spouse, the faithful partner.
There's going to be some, let me watch.
You know,
let me see.
We'll zoom into the affairs
your life
of the unfaithful party's life, just to make
sure that it's not going to repeat itself.
Every time the unfaithful party makes a statement,
or makes a move, or say something,
somebody questions. You know, somebody is questioning your actions.
Yes.
So it is hard. It is hard. But you know what? It's easier. Do not
give up.
Do not give in. Do not give in. Do not give in. You're married to a beautiful spouse, a wife, a handsome husband, dating a beautiful girl or a beautiful man, whatever it is.
Beautiful man. Yeah, some guys are beautiful.
Like
you are.
Whatever it is. Thank you. Thank you. Whatever it is. These are some of the areas you do not want to give into.
Yes.
Because once trust is lost, it's not easily earned. You know, once trust is lost, it's not easily earned. It can be repaired, but it's not easily earned. Trust is just, I can't even say enough about trust. Because when you first meet somebody, they trust you with an open blanket.
Yes.
Right? You see how vast a blanket can be? That is the length of the trust, you know, your significant other have for you. It is a blank check, you know.
And they ask you to write the check. Let's see what you're going to put on it.
You know, it is a blank check when you first fall in love, you know. So you can put trillions of zeros to it, and that is how vast the trust is. But once it's lost, it's no longer a blank check. You have scent. You have a scent of trust. You know, our viewers living in Ghana, I don't know whether we still use the pennies. You know,
CDs. Yeah.
No. The coins. What do we call the coins in Ghana?
Yeah, 1 CD.
1 CD is a bill. Those are bills.
The passwords?
Passwords. If we still say passwords in Ghana. You know, all I'm saying is it's the lowest currency when it's lost. When trust is lost, the level of trust in that relationship becomes the lowest currency of trust you can even think of. But when trust is not broken, guess what? You are living in a relationship that has a blank check of trust,
and
you can build upon that.
Yes,
you can build upon a blank check of trust in relationship.
So babe, just getting towards the end of our discussion today, what do we tell our viewers I would say that, and I think Nate just hit the nail on the head. Don't do it. That's a simple, short answer. Don't do it. And somebody's asking, why don't I? Because she doesn't do this, he doesn't do this. Talk about it. Sit down and talk about the things that you think can push you to cheat, right? Is it lack of sex? Is it lack of attention? Is it lack of respect? Is it lack of taking care of you? I mean,
Yes, yes. It's very important to talk about the issues that may be driving
yes,
the act.
so
right?
that it doesn't get there.
It doesn't get there. Because when you have those discussions, you are having those discussions on a platform based on trust.
Yes.
So you still have that full currency
To
of
work
trust
upon.
to work upon. So when that issue is addressed in that level, the changes that takes place.
Yeah.
I truly believe there are changes that take place when that issue is addressed. Hey, you see, when you continue to deny me of sex, knowing that it's something I yearn for, when you continue to deny me of sex, just remember, you are gradually
Pushing me
pushing
away.
me out to replace
Or find something.
or find something
to
to cope with.
to take care of that desire.
And once you have this open dialogue in the marriage, I believe awareness are created
Oh yes,
in
and
these open dialogues.
and if that spouse needs that relationship, or that if that relationship or
They
marriage
will
means
comply.
allowed to them, they would work on it.
They will comply.
If you are not cooking for your man or not taking care of your man, and they come to you and openly say, you know what, it's been X amount of weeks you've not cooked in this house, and anytime I go to work and come home, I'm so hungry, and I don't have anything to find to eat in this house. You know I can't cook. To the men who don't cook, right? So what are you trying to do? You're driving me out to go out there to find something to
Yes.
eat. Guess what? You push me into any hands that I may fall into. They said the key to a man's heart is through his stomach,
Yes.
right? So if they have that girlfriend, or if they have that, when I say girlfriend, female friend, right?
Right.
Who knows how to cook, who will say, hey, come over to the house. You get off from
I
work?
got you.
I
I got
got
food
you.
for you.
I just cooked today. Come. What's gonna happen? They're gonna be going to that house every time that they get off work and go get their dinner before they come home. And before you know, it's not just dinner. It's gonna be other things that are gonna be added to it. So talk about it. And when your significant other brings something to your attention, please, ladies, please, guys, pay attention to it, because everybody have a different level of tolerance.
Yes.
You never know when you have pushed them so much to the wall, and you cannot read their minds. It's only God who can read minds. So if you cannot read somebody's mind, you ought to listen when they say stuff to you.
Yes.
If you are disrespecting your husband, or disrespecting your wife, or making your wife feel like she is nothing, making your husband not giving him that respect, and he thinks that, hey, right now I can't even talk to you because guess what? You don't even show me that level of respect anymore. She's saying, I can't even talk to you because you think I don't do anything. Maybe I'm not working right now. I've just had the child, or I've just had staying home, taking
Right.
care of the home, and so you're not giving me that respect that you need to give me. Don't do that to me, because you are pushing me away from this relationship. You're letting me love you lesser and lesser. Guys, listen to your wives. Listen to your girlfriend. Listen to your significant other. Vice versa, women, listen to your husbands, and listen to that boyfriend that you love so much. When they bring something to your attention, listen to them, work on it so that it does not make them go out to do what they shouldn't do. That's not a ticket for them to do that anyways. That's not what we are saying. What we are saying is every action has its roots. There we go.
Okay.
So for somebody to do something, something should have already happened before they did what they did, right?
Okay.
9 out of 10.
Yes.
Aside those who are habitual cheaters, right?
Okay.
So, if they are not habitual cheaters, ask yourself, did you let them be the first time that it happened? Did you contribute it? And if you did, own up to it. Work on it. It's not going to be the same. It is never going to be the same because this is a very difficult and very sensitive aspect of every relationship, every romantic or love relationship, right?
Yes.
Every relationship that got to do with romance, let me say that. Love, communicate, put a stop to things that you don't have to be doing, you don't have any business doing, and listen to each other so that together you can keep your relationship intact. Together you can keep your marriage intact. Together you can make sure that there is no middle person coming into that relationship. And like Nate said, be mindful of who you talk to. Is very, very important because some people get pissed off when they get to know even who you've told the story to.
Yes.
Because of that, they don't even want to turn over a new leaf, which is their own problem. I don't think that is a good way to address it. It don't matter who they told. What matters is you did it. Be remorseful, apologize, give them something to hold on to, and turn around a new leaf so that they can be safe. They can get your trust back and be able to build that solid relationship. Guys, this was amazing, Nate.
Yes, it was. But one thing you said that I would like to qualify is remorseness can take place when the issue has not been broadcasted. Okay. Let me rephrase that again. Remorsefulness can take place.
It's easier to take place.
No, it's not easier. It can only take place when the issue has not been broadcasted.
No,
because
honey.
hold on.
Honestly speaking,
Hear me out.
not to cut you off, but honestly speaking, you being remorseful for what you did, right, should not have anything to do with who has heard it or has not heard it. Because at the end of the day, it's your relationship, it's your marriage.
Yeah.
So if you are going to show remorse to your spouse, for them to know that you are sorry for what you did, I'm sorry about who has heard it, but at the end of the day, you've saved your family. You've saved your relationship. You saved your marriage.
I totally agree with you on one part, but you have to understand the way I have to think like a man. The way the mind of a man works. Okay. So let me come in for one sec. Let me come in. Your husband, your boyfriend. Okay. When they commit such act and they show a sign of remorsefulness, right? And the whole issue has been escalated to a level where it can be amended. The moment word gets to them that so and so have heard about the issue, so and so have heard about the issue, so and so, and now the issue has been officially broadcasted, right? To entities that have no
business.
Not business, but I like to use the word shared equity in the marriage. It creates a whole different of resentfulness. So this person that has committed such atrocity is now resentful about the spouse, the faithful spouse. Okay?
Because they told somebody.
Because the family, what was known as a family issue has now become a mainstream media issue. So they have no equity in trying to stay for that so-called marriage. This is how it gets escalated. They have no equity.
No, but honey, it would interest you to know that when the love is strong, when the love is strong, you shouldn't even do this.
Right.
Right?
Right. So
So
so that won't be valid.
So that would not be valid. So we should know that if somebody wants their woman, if somebody wants their marriage, if somebody wants their relationship, and this happens, no matter who has heard it, it takes, I know it would take another level for them to go through that shame and still want to stick around.
And this brings me to my final point. Wives, fiancés, when you're dealing with your husband, when you're dealing with your boyfriend, okay, this is one aspect that you cannot take for granted. Once you shame a man in public, even for something they did, once you shame a man in public, you may not have that relationship the same, regardless of what they did. You know, because once a man's legacy or name is condemned, there is no value in what is holding that relationship.
I can understand you, honey. I can understand
So-
you.
so-
It's just it's an ego stuff.
So they know they were wrong. They will fight for what is theirs. They will fight and express remorse. But it's a whole different issue when the affair has been broadcasted.
So what we are trying to say is, or what Nate is trying to say is, ladies, it's hard. I cannot imagine getting to know that your husband, your boyfriend, your fiance has cheated on you and you being quiet, right? It's very hard. But from a man's perspective, I think Nate is saying that we should be mindful of who we are telling and go to the right source, which I think the right source should be them. And men, if the right source is you, when we come to you, when the ladies come to you, when your wife comes to you, this should not happen. But when it happens and they come to you, please be remorseful. Show that, and this is not for a show. Like Nate said, it has to be an honest remorseful, right? You need to be honestly sorry if there's something like that. You need
Honestly apologetic.
Yes, you need to honestly come out and apologize and give them something to hold on to. So whilst the women are making sure of whom to tell or whom not to tell and try to keep it within the family, try to keep it amicably solved.
Yes.
Man, you have your work to do too. You committed the act. You may have, this time you committed the act. Yes, you were on the women before. So yeah, I'm on the men right now. You committed the act. Don't let your ego hold or destroy your relationship. You had no business bringing that third person in your relationship. You did. Apologize. Turn around a new leaf. Give your spouse, give your woman something to hold on to. Let them know that you are not going to do it again. Vice versa, ladies, if it is you who did it. But what we are saying is be able to close it out. Don't broadcast it. If you have to share it with trusted people, trusted person, just make sure that hopefully it is somebody that both of you trust.
And the final comment is there is life. There is a whole beautiful life after the affair is done. And that is the whole point of this. There is life after the affair. There is countless of successful marriages, when I mean by successful, it's been flourishing, after year 5 years, 10 year 15, 16, going on 20, 30, 40. And when you go and ask how are they so much committed, how did they manage to attain this huge milestone in their marriage?
Forgiveness.
It's forgiveness.
Forgiveness, yes.
It's forgiveness.
Openness and forgiveness.
Because
yes.
they went through it.
There has been marriages which are 30, 35 years, and they have been with just this one woman, just this one
True,
man.
true.
Has not. So there are out there.
True, so I take my comment back.
Yeah, they're out there.
There might have been different levels, right? Different issues.
There you go.
That may
there you
have
go.
caused the marriage to be on wraps.
Absolutely.
Right? But they overcome it.
Absolutely.
They overcome it.
Yes.
And I believe that the takeout in this content that we are presenting to you is there is life.
Yes.
There has to be life after an affair has taken place in the marriage.
And what does the Bible says? The Bible says that is the only reason why you can leave your partner,
Yes.
right? If you cannot what?
Forgive.
So it comes right back to forgiveness, right?
You cannot forgive.
It's hard. You're not gonna be able to forget. There's no. We keep on saying there's nothing such as forgive and forget. We keep saying that, but it is nothing like forgive and forget. You can forgive. It's hard to forget, but the forgiveness and the love will cover all things and make things work out again. So basically, you're gonna start from ground zero to build this trust over and over and over again. But if you can not do it, please don't do it, because it's just for a moment. Even if it was 6 months affair, it came to an end. Even if it was a year or two, it came to an end.
Affairs always comes to an end.
Yes. So if you have that beautiful woman, that handsome husband, why you go behind them and cheat? That was not necessary. That is not necessary. Think about something else to do, guys. You have a wonderful home you've built with this person. Think about something amazing to do. Turn around things, discuss things, communicate about the things that are not going right, so that you don't push each other to the wall to do something that you don't have to do, as cheating on each other.
There you have it. I told you we were here to knock your socks off, and I believe we did. So
it's a difficult conversation, though. It is.
So let's make sure that we stay honest with our significant others.
Yes.
Let's be faithful.
Yes.
Let's be faithful. We presented this because we want to address the areas in relationships that is putting in a closed door, right? Spouses are suffering in silence, and they do not know anywhere to turn. We are here to assure you that keep pressing on,
Keep praying.
mm-hmm. and keep rendering your forgiveness, because there is life after forgiveness.
And seek for help.
Seek for help. It's very important to seek for help.
Yeah.
That counseling is far more beneficial than it may sound. I mean, I understand that financially it can be expensive. That is why you go to your minister and ask for counseling.
Or go to that trusted family person.
Go to that trusted family
friend
or
mm-hmm.
person that
cares about you.
That has equal equity in your relationship, because that is going to do wonders. That is going to do wonders for the healing process. And we are here to support you in that healing process. We'll be praying for you. We are here to encourage you that you might not be alone. You know, a lot of marriages may be going through this, and the few that survive are the ones
Who talked about it?
who are willing to
Yeah.
forgive.
Yeah.
Who are willing to forgive, and the unfaithful partner is also willing to turn away from that act
Yes.
and not visit it again. So continue to stay strong in your marriage, or your relationship. Continue to press on, and brighter days are ahead of you. And together, we'll join our family of fruitful marriage. Oh,
Happy marriage. Happy ever after. Even though you're gonna go through stuff, you're going to be able to pull through together.
all right.
Yes.
Here we have it. That is it.
Yes.
I thank you all for subscribing.
Yeah.
Thank you all for commenting, and thank you all for sharing. I believe Esther and I, this is just the beginning. We still have more exciting content to share with you. Stay tuned, and we'll see you on the next episode.
God bless you.
Bye bye.
Bye.